In this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinox Television, the Social Democratic Front reminds the Paul Biya government that the Anglophone crisis is unique and should be treated as such. It is contained in the final resolutions of the NEC meeting, which took place that was barely a few days ago. Also in this newscast, the Catholic Church in Buea goes to the street to pray for peace. Plus, sacked workers of the Douala City Council have continued to mount pressure on Dr. Frix Tonentone. They say that things might get rough if they are not reintegrated. We shall be right back. Stay with us. Good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you so much for joining us. Let's begin right away in politics. In the nation's capital, the Social Democratic Front Party met in Yaoundé last weekend to talk about the party's political future prior to the previewed municipal and legislative elections in the country. But a greater part of the resolutions of the S.D.F NEC meeting, which was made public that was yesterday, was on what the party called ongoing civil war in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon. The S.D.F expressed shock over the regime's management of the crisis, which has continued to deteriorate. Nijon Fundi, the chairman of the Social Democratic Front, said that the series of letters written to President Paul Biya proposing solutions to the crisis have simply been ignored, though the latter had admitted that was few months ago that the situation in the ground is getting worse. The party indicated that the President of the Republic has continued to disregard the plight of IDPs and refugees by refusing aid from reaching the people through his speech and through his speeches. The Social Democratic Front Party has therefore maintained that general amnesty should be granted to all those arrested in connection with the crisis, called for an immediate ceasefire, inclusive dialogue, and reminded the President of the Republic that the Anglophone problem is unique and has nothing to do with the problem of Boko Haram. The Social Democratic Front wants the National Commission of Truth, Reconciliation, Reconstruction, and Reintegration of Victims of the Crisis to be created and discussions on the form of the state to be launched by the government or initiated by the government of Cameroon. Those are the resolutions of the NEC meeting of the Social Democratic Front that were made public yesterday. The meeting took place last weekend in Yaoundé. Now, the Catholic Church in Buea were on the street to pray for peace and that the land should be blessed, the land should be healed as well, which they say is tainted with blood. The objective of the initiative is to bless with the Blessed Sacrament, is for killings to stop in the two Anglophone regions of the country. Derek Jato tells us more in this report.
Historians have it that this Moleko Street has witnessed incidents that will last in the minds of those around here forever. For one of the most destructive protests in the life of this crisis was seen on the street. And as the Anglophone crisis keeps changing faces and colors with time, everyone around this street is aware that this Buea Street is stained with blood, for that to have been recorded here. Today, the same Buea Street is witnessing another history. The Blessed Sacrament is out, signifying the presence of Christ. These Catholic Christians celebrated part of their Eucharistic conference on this street of Buea.
I'll going to Buea, that Lord bless this town. You are the one who can bring your children together. You're the one who can bring peace to the world, not us anymore. We have the Lord Jesus Christ, and that's our goal. Our goal going to Buea, that Lord bless this town. You are the one who can bring your children together. You're the one who can bring peace to the world, not us anymore. We have one Father. If we have one Father, why are we killing ourselves? Why are we fighting each other? If we have one Father, and that's the goal, that we need to preach more the gospel so that we can.
At a time where hopes of many are gone, Reverend Father George Keze Jingwa said it was important for songs to accompany the conference.
But the choir, the spirit of the songs can transform our hearts. That's why we had this choir, because Beraka is a song. I said Beraka is also a song.
At the time when there have been multiple calls for peace and inclusive dialogue in the two Anglophone regions of Cameroon, we can see how the churches are equally praying for peace across the national territory. The Evangelical Church of Cameroon, the EEC, as it is known in its French acronym, has also not been indifferent about the deepening Anglophone crisis. Christians of the church in Lom of the Mongo division have equally gathered to pray for God's intervention, as Immaculate Fogwe tells us in this report.
The ongoing Anglophone crisis, which has now become an armed conflict in the two Anglophone regions in Cameroon, is now a prayer point brought forth by most churches in the country. To this effect, men of God and Christians of the Evangelical Church in Cameroon, during their 5th Synod meeting under the theme Reconciliation and Forgiveness, held in the Mongo division found in the Littoral region, prayed for peace to reign in Cameroon in regards to the ongoing Anglophone crisis. Pastor Claude Kolonji, the Secretary General of the Mongo Center, reiterates on the importance of living in peace.
Occurs in northwest and southwest of Cameroon. Reason why we as church we invite all Cameroonians to come together. We invite all Cameroonians to be together to find solution peacefully, to avoid to find peace peacefully, and then avoid what the thing that cannot lead to sustainable peace. And the
Pastor Robert Kong, president of the Mongo Center, explains that dialogue is the most suitable instrument that effectively calms down any conflict.
Il faut revenir sur la base du dialogue. Le dialogue qui est, n'est-ce pas, approuvé par tous les humains. La sympathie.
We have to come back to the base, which is dialogue. Dialogue is the most effective instrument used by all humans when in dispute for peace to reign. Reconciliation is an aspect which has to be reflected in our social lives by every Christian. They are calling on each and every Cameroonian to join them in prayer so that reconciliation and peace will be brought back on the minds of every Cameroonian.
And while flames engulfed a section of a story building at Ecole Publique d'Aido, that is here in the country's economic capital, Douala, the incident occurred early this morning, affecting the section, or this morning at the section hosting matters, as we can see, and was almost affecting the apartment when the occupants managed to put out the flames before the arrival of the firefighters to fortify their effort. One of the structures which was spared is Dynamic FM, a radio station which is relaying from the said building. A lady who suffered a malaise was rushed to hospital for medical attention, while enormous material damage was recorded. The cause of the fire incident up to now is yet to be established. We take you now to the south region of Cameroon. 2 suspected human bone traffickers who are currently being held at the Kribi, the security units, or in the security units in Kribi South region of Cameroon. Security forces have said that the suspects reportedly transported the human bones from the west region to Kribi before they fell into the dragnet of law enforcement officials. Simanjika Gabriel tells us more in this report.
It was from the Noon division of the West region that the human bones were trafficked into Kribi, South region of the country. The traffickers, who are 2 in numbers, are having 19 and 23 years of age respectively. The state prosecutor, who is on the case, refused to present the alleged human bone traffickers on grounds that they are still under investigation, thus not found guilty. It was thanks to the efforts of the commissioner of the Central Police Post in Kribi, Raymond Mann, that the 2 traffickers were arrested after they had agreed a 10 million francs CFA selling price for the goods they had. The case of human bones trafficking isn't a strange business in Kribi, as several of those found guilty are now languishing at the Kribi Central Prison.
We now talk about workers of the Douala City Council were dismissed last year, 2018, by the government delegate to the Douala City Council. It should be noted that On September 2018, the Court of Appeal in the littoral region of Cameroon ruled in favor of the 10 dismissed workers, indicating that they should resume work, and instructed the government delegate to the Douala City Council to reintegrate them. That said decision is still to be implemented. The decision was equally reinforced by the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, but the government delegate is equally supposed to has refused to respect the said decision. The dismissed workers met in the country's economic capital, Douala, today, calling on the government delegate to respect the decision or face the worst in the coming days. Immaculate Fogwe has the details in this report.
The 10 dismissed staff representatives of the Douala City Council have declared that if the court's decision taken on the 27th of September 2018 is not respected by the City Council, they will be forced to take their revendications to another level. The now former Douala City Council workers say the government delegate Fritz Tone has failed to respect the decision taken by the Court of Appeal in the littoral region and the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, ordering for their reintegration.
In 2018, the court decided to reintegrate us and to pay our salary, prime and others. Until now, the government delegates have decided to not pay it. He decided to make an opposition, and in this sort of case, when a boss make opposition, it is that is going to make a lockout. That means to close the enterprise. We are not surprised if Mr. Tone, the government delegate, is allowed to close Douala City Council. That's why we wanted to inform national and international opinion, because we are not yet reintegrated.
Meeting with the press in Douala on Tuesday, the workers explained that taking care of themselves and their family has become extremely difficult. We have a colleague amongst us whose wife abandoned him because of lack of finance. Our kids are not going to school. Others are finding it hard to have a meal on the table. It is really an extremely difficult situation for us. The sacked personnel of the Douala City Council are hoping that the government delegates will heed to the decision taken by the court as fast as possible in order to calm down what they called unpleasant situation in the coming days.
Apart from what the President of the Republic of Cameroon called warmongers and rebels, the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, has added another people to be neutralized by the defense forces in Cameroon this 2019. Speaking during the press conference or during the presentation of New Year wishes that was yesterday, the ceremony which took place in Yaoundé, he indicated that highway robbers in Adamawa region will be dealt with this year. Femi Armstrong Sander has the details in this report.
Sounding like President Paul Biya in his December 31st, 2018 end-of-year speech and January 9th New Year wishes ceremony message in Yaoundé, Minister Paul Atanganji on his 10 January 21st in Yaoundé re-echoed that individuals unwilling to deposit arms in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon will face the defense and security forces. To him, the President's end-of-year message remains the working guide for the Ministry of Territorial Administration and Decentralization. To those qualified as terrorists by President Paul Biya in his message, Minister Paul Atanganji also added another set of people to be neutralized in 2019.
La région de la Damawa puisse être davantage stable et que les bandits de grand chemin qui perturbent la quiétude des populations soient neutralisés et traduits à la justice.
On more security measures, he says his ministry will do all it takes for peace to return in the northwest and southwest regions. The ministry also plans to intensify the distribution of government's humanitarian support to the affected population of the two English-speaking regions of the country, and also accompany the National Disarmament, Demobilization and Reintegration Commission. Presiding over the New Year wishes ceremony for the first time as boss of the Ministry of Territorial Administration and Decentralization, Paul Atanganji highlighted municipal and legislative elections as some of the priorities of his ministry in 2019. stating that the ministry will work to secure regions, divisions and subdivisions for each free elections. The minister, in his usual style, sounded positive that the ministry will succeed in its priorities in 2019.
We continue to talk about the disputed elections in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Central African and some French-speaking countries have remained silent on the election victory of Felix Tshisekedi in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The European Union also has not issued a statement in confirmation of the president-elect or the election of Felix Tshisekedi. However, other African and Asian countries have been congratulating the successor of Joseph Kabila, who is going to be sworn in January 2019. That's going to be precisely on the 26th of January. Babla Jonathan has the details in the following report.
Président de la République démocratique du Congo, Monsieur Tshisekedi Tshilombo Félix.
A series of state congratulation messages have been streaming in on the heels of the confirmation of the election victory of President-elect Felix Tshisekedi by the Constitutional Court of the Democratic Republic of Congo. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, Uhuru Kenyatta of Kenya, Tanzanian, Namibian, and Zambian presidents have sent words of congratulation to the Democratic Republic of Congo's next president. The South African Regional Organization has also congratulated President-elect Felix Tshisekedi, while the African Union has taken note of the victory of the opposition candidate. The latter had earlier called for a delay in the proclamation of results before announcing the visit of a high-level AU delegation to the Democratic Republic of Congo. The visit was cancelled after the Constitutional Court handed down its verdict less than 24 hours before the date of the visit. Central African presidents, the regional organization, and Francophone African countries in general have remained silent on the December 30 presidential election results in the Central African state. The European Union and its member countries have also been silent after contesting the result proclaimed by the Electoral Commission and later confirmed by the Constitutional Court. Away from Africa and Europe, China and Russia have sent messages of congratulation to Felix Tshisekedi, highlighting their respect for the people's choice.
The National Refinery Corporation, Sonara, now has a new team. We are talking at Victoria in this edition of the news, appointed January 14, 2019 by the President of the Republic of Cameroon, Mr. Simon Jono Jean-Paul, General Manager, and Madame Bertando Bakata, appointed board chair of Sonara, who have been in office for more than 1 week now, have so far promised to be productive. Details in the following report.
The atmosphere was a cloudy one, given that rumor had spread that the presence of the Minister of Water and Energy is the appointment of a new general manager of Sonora, given that Ibrahim Tabamala has been appointed Minister Delegate at the presidency in charge of public contracts. In a closed-door meeting with only board members, it was difficult to predict who was to take over the helm of Sonora. 15 minutes later, the social media was already flooded, announcing the new general manager of Sonora, while deliberations were still ongoing in the inner caucus of the company. Finally, the press and other top management staff of the company were called in. To the surprise of many, not only a new general manager is appointed, but equally a new board chair.
Le président de la République, son Excellence M. Paul Biya, de par son pouvoir discrétionnaire, vient de décider de la nomination de Madame Gov'T Bakata et de Monsieur Simon Jono Jean-Paul au poste de président du conseil d'administration et de directeur général de la Société nationale de raffinage, la Sonara.
Madame Gov'T Bakata takes over from Ebongole, who has been there since 1994 as board chair of Sonora. She is from Meme Division in the Southwest region. She is the special advisor at the Prime Minister's office. She is equally the president of the Bakassi Development Program of the Cameroon government and a PhD student at the University of Boya.
Everybody Everybody's looking on us. The head of states is looking on us. And this confidence he has given us, and me in particular, and for women in general, we are going to, not to fail him, but we'll do the best that we can.
The new general manager, Simo Njono Jean-Paul, from the Upper Plateau in the West region, before his appointment was Chief of Division, Economic and Financial Affairs at the General Secretariat at the Presidency of the Republic. He was equally board chair of the Kribi Autonomous Seaport, board chair of the Mevele Hydroelectric Project Tender Board, and board member of 9 other parastatal companies and projects including Sonora.
I thank the President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Biya, for the confidence made to me by appointing me in this important function of General Manager of Sonora. We will work together with the government, the board, and all the staff to achieve the objective of the government to make that Sonora is a competitive company.
Born in 1964, with 32 years of working experience in administration, he has a task to complete the second phase of the Sonora Extension Project, maintain the company's standard at both the national and international standard.
And that brings us to the end of this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinox Television. Viewers, we thank you so much for joining us. Wishing you a blessed stay in the company of our programs. Until we meet again, goodbye.